All right. What's happening, YouTube? What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to my stream. Big day for all us Pixel fans and Google heads or whatever you want to call us. I don't know. But yeah, Google I/O was today, so um, lot to talk about, a lot of things to digest. If you are just joining me for the first time, I do a lot of content on Pixel phones, but Android in general, but more specifically Pixel products. And tonight, like I was saying last week, I gave a little preview last week of what we could kind of expect from Google I/O. But tonight, just come hang and chill, and I want to talk about, some of the products and some of the things that Google I/O or Google released at Google I/O, and just kind of give my thoughts on it. So, if you're joining me, let's see, let me go ahead and pull up the chat to some extent. If you're joining me for the first time or just in general, let me know where you're joining from. And while you're doing that, let's see here. There we go. That's what I actually wanted. What's happening? Where you from? Let me know where you're from. Let's talk Google I/O. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I have a lot of thoughts on Google I/O as a whole, and then some of the products that Google announced today. So let's start with Google I/O. Let me know in the comments, what were your thoughts on Google I/O as a whole this year. I'm gonna go out and say, like, I was kind of annoyed. Not necessarily with the products, because I think the products that we got are great, and I think there's some really interesting things that are going to be coming out with those products. But I don't know, maybe you're like me, but I am so sick of hearing about AI already. And it was like Google's big thing this year was just about artificial intelligence and all the stuff they've been doing behind it, which is fine. I mean, but to me, it seems like this year's Google I/O was more of a reaction to Chat GPT and a lot of the things. Hey, welcome to the stream. Alabama in the house. Okay. Live in Alabama from South Carolina. Okay. Um, so a lot of talk about artificial intelligence or AI and machine learning, which that's Google's thing. A lot of the things that they put out and kind of show at Google I/O, eventually, like a small percentage of it lands up being like an actual usable product that you use on Pixel phones. And I thought that part was actually kind of interesting, because they clarified that Pixel products and Pixel phones are really just the vehicle for them taking some of these projects that they've been working on and like turning them into a usable product. So I think, like, when people look at what Google's doing, and they look at Pixel phones and they try to compare them to like Samsung and Apple, you just really can't, because like things are starting to make a lot more sense to me. Like, even when you look at like the chips that they've quote unquote designed, the Tensor chip, and why it's not the most like beastly chip on the market, but rather it's engineered for AI. And I think a lot of that is starting to become clear. There was some interesting things with that. I think the more interesting things that, like, AI wise, were some of the things like with Gmail, like how you can have it write an email for you, and you can choose how it sounds. It's contextual too. So like, they gave the example of, if you were responding to an email, it will pull some of the information from that email and then use it in the follow-up email. I thought that was kind of cool. I probably would use that. I use Gmail a lot. And then there was some stuff for Google Docs, like to help like write. I think they wrote like a job posting or something like that using AI. That was kind of cool. But it's one of those things that, because Google's a software company first, like they're software focused, there's a lot of utility to that. And I think a lot of people actually are going to use it, but it made for, like, to me at least, a very boring keynote. especially in comparison to last year's keynote. Because I thought that Google was going to come in and be more product focused with all the leaks that we were hearing about. And I thought they were going to talk a lot about Android 14 and some of the new features we'd be seeing with that. And we really didn't get that. I mean, we got more just AI, and then Google's commitment to like doing AI safely, which it makes sense. I mean, they had to respond to some extent because ChatGPT and that department has been eating their lunch, and if they didn't come out with anything to compete kind of in that space, then not saying Google search disappears, but then there's actual competition. So I thought it's fine. I think they spent like way too much time. I think it was like an hour and a half or something that they spent just talking about AI, and then like the last half hour was more product focused or things that were coming out of Android. So yeah, I'd give it like a solid, the overall event, I give it like a solid C plus, maybe B minus. What'd you guys think? Drop it down in the chat. Let me see here what we got. Last year was better. No mention of the Pixel 8. No, they didn't. So we haven't really gotten too many leaks about the Pixel 8. I mean, we got renders that have been going around online, but I mean, we don't know anything like detail specific. And I think that's entirely different than what happened with the Pixel 7 series last year. Like last year, everything was like leaked so early that Google just had to talk about it. I mean, it was the huge elephant in the room, and it cast a huge shadow on the event as a whole. But this year, I mean, we've seen pictures of it, but we haven't heard too much about the Pixel 8. So I don't think they really needed to show that off. But also because they were so focused on AI, there probably would not have been time to do it, to be honest. Between the AI stuff and all the other products that they announced / released, there just wasn't going to be time. C plus B minus. Yeah. I mean, that's the event as a whole. It wasn't terrible. I mean, there's if you think about it, like probably in comparison to other keynote events, like Google doesn't put on the most flashiest events. I mean, if anybody watched like the Galaxy or the Galaxy series phones, like that keynote, there was a lot of tech behind it, but it was painful to watch. I mean, as good as those products and phones were, I mean, it was painful to watch. So I think companies are getting better at their keynotes, but they still got a ways to go. Apple still does it the best. I mean, it's there's nobody that's touching them in that department. And as far as how they put on their events and like how they generate excitement, it was also weird. Like, it seemed like a lot of people that were presenting were like very awkward, and then you get like these awkward applauses like that would be like halfway through the next transition that they were like reading or the next thought that they were presenting. I don't know, it was very awkward. There was one, what's the one guy that showed off about the 3D wallpapers and some of like the emoji stuff that's coming to Android. I mean, he was a little bit more natural, but everything else just felt awkward. I mean, you really only have so many people to choose from, but I think they really need to get somebody that's a little bit more comfortable being in front of the camera to get up there and produce some of this stuff, and actually like work on some type of production for it. But yeah, that's my take on Google I/O as a whole. And outside of that, I more specifically want to talk about what they announced, because I'm super excited about 75% of what I saw today, and some of the stuff we already knew, but I'm excited about 75%. So if you've been, oh, hold on one second, I can't believe I just did that. All right. Sorry, guys. Accidentally had myself live there and I played it. But yeah, unless you've been living under a rock, yeah, we got Pixel tablet today announced. We got Pixel Fold announced and available for pre-order, and we got Pixel 7a. So I want to start. Let's talk about Pixel 7a first, because I actually have different feelings about it now than I previously did. I don't think this phone should exist, and it's the more I look at it, it doesn't make sense as to why Google chose to like Google made a lot of changes to the A series, and I remember like Pixel 3, Pixel 4, like when those phones came out, they weren't cheap. I mean, but they were like technically flagship level phones. And so like the A series really was to be like the watered down like base model, like if you kind of like the iPhone SE, similar experience, but like just really stripped down for you to give to like your grandma or, older parents, aunties, uncles, things like that. And I think what happened is like gradually they started adding more things that users were requesting. And the Pixel 7a just turned into a slightly worse Pixel 7. And they're priced like really close to each other. They're priced like within $100 if you get it from the Google store. But I mean, you can find the Pixel 7 for cheaper, like especially if there's some kind of deals or if you don't mind buying it used. I know carriers are doing deals too where you can get it a lot cheaper than $599. I think some of them are like $349, $400. I honestly think, I mean, especially because you can get it cheaper, you might as well just get a Pixel 7. I mean, if you let's pull it up, because this is what I want to go through. I mean, this is more like, I think what Google was trying to do is they wanted to more so have like different colors. I think they wanted to do something like a mid-cycle refresh on the Pixel 7 series. And this year they chose to do it with the A series. Let's see here. Let's go this one here. All right. So I actually, the overview page is fine. I actually like reading the tech specs. So let's maximize that so we can go down to. So it's slightly smaller than the 7. I think the 7 is 6.3 inches for the display. This one's 6.1. And the footprint is like very similar. So they're roughly about the same size. It's just there's thicker bezels on the 7a, which just says this is a cheaper phone, right? But like I mentioned, you can get the Pixel 7 probably cheaper than what the 7a is going for, and it has like some slightly more premium features. So, but I love the colors. I got the C color, which from what I'm told doesn't look as blue as it shows up here. It looks more like an off-white. But I mean, if Google wanted to do a mid-cycle refresh, that's fine. All right, so I gotta go here and look at battery, right? Does anybody ever read like these small notes here? Because it shows you like how they tell you how Google came up with that number, over 24 hours of battery life. Let's see if we can drop down here. So number 4. So they have essentially somebody go out and test. It says the median Pixel user using a mix of talk, data, standby, and use of other features. Average battery life during testing was approximately 31 hours. Okay. Now, you have a 1080p screen, 90 hertz this year. And in all honesty, the Pixel 6a has way better battery life, because usually you don't have to, like most people, you don't need to put all of the bells and whistles in that one. So it's not drawing as much battery power, and you can get your battery to last a lot longer. This year, because there's 90 hertz, and they went with, I believe, a slightly smaller battery in there too, the battery life is worse. So like the whole point to me of getting like the 6 series is you compromise some of the specs, but you get better battery life, which is probably what somebody would want if that's all they care about is just having a Pixel phone, or if they want to get into the Pixel portfolio and they don't want to spend a lot of money, then that's where you start. But battery life typically is supposed to be good on these phones. I don't think this is going to be better than what the 7 has to offer. 8 gigabytes of RAM, LPDDR5, so that's cool. Cool that it's getting Tensor G2. I think Tensor G2, the chip itself, is fine. Obviously, Tensor 3, when it comes out, is supposed to make like huge leaps and bounds in efficiency over the Tensor G2, but I think it's fine. I think the modem is more so the issue with Pixel phones right now. They need to look at those modems, because the modems are draining battery way more than they probably should be. Cameras, so new cameras this year: 64 megapixel quad PD, quad Bayer wide camera, but it's been down, I believe, to was it 16 megapixels or something like that. You're not getting 64. It's been down. I can't remember what it was been down to. So better cameras, smaller sensor though, 0.8 microns here. So I mean, take that as you will. 13 megapixel ultra wide, no telephoto, which is fine. 7 doesn't have one either. Optical and electronic image stabilization. So I mean, the cameras are going to be good. I mean, Pixel phones are notoriously known for having good cameras, so I'm not worried about that. But you're getting largely the same Pixel experience, and I don't know where the 7A really fits in. Like I was saying, I think it's part of Google changing its strategy going forward this year, which is probably why we didn't hear about the Pixel 8. And the 7A is just going to be more like the base entry, and then we're going to get like 8 Pro and like 8 Pro Max or something like that, I think is what they were talking about. So but yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Pixel 7A. I picked one up. I'm going to review it for the channel, but let me know if you plan on getting one. Let's see here, what do we got here in the comments? Back to the comments. What do we got? Pixel 7A is Pixel 7 Lite, and at $499 it shouldn't be. At least drop the price to $399. Yeah, what was the first Pixel A phone that came out? Wasn't it like $349 or something like that? It was cheap, and it was good. It was cheap and it was good, especially in comparison. I think the Pixel 4 XL was out at that time, and that phone was $900. So it was well worth it. I definitely think for what you're getting, it's priced fine, but I think Google needs to keep like a very cheap phone in their arsenal. I enjoyed this year's I/O, though I wish it offered a little more. I will probably purchase, but I want the Android tablet ecosystem to grow. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Android tablet ecosystem to grow? You mean like to see more Android tablets on the market? Because if that's what you meant, I agree. I agree. We'll talk about the Pixel tablet in a minute, because I picked one of those up as well. And I'm actually like reserved and excited at the same time about the Pixel tablet. We'll talk about that in a little bit more in a minute. But yeah, this year the presentation, it was meh. I read it all. You should. I'm telling you, people, like, whether you're a tech head or not, anytime a company releases products, I go to their website, like, let me read the actual data or like the actual specs, because a lot of times you get marketing hype, and some things are just very non-specific, like the whole battery nonsense. Over 24 hours. Well, what does that mean? It's 31 hours. So just tell me that on average you got 31 hours. It's a little over a day's worth of use. I need to see all that granular data. I think this is the final A series phone. Yeah, I agree. I think there was some rumblings not too long ago about them canceling the A series. That's kind of what's been going around. I don't think it's gonna. I think it'll be canceled in name only, but the next set of phones that we'll see, it'll just be they'll all kind of they'll just be the same across the line. So it won't be Pixel 8, but maybe like Pixel 9. You'll have Pixel 9, 9 Pro, 9 Pro Max. They're still selling the 6A at 340. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you said that. So I bought a 6A for my daughter. And at 349, like the 6A is fine. If you're used to 60 hertz screens, and you can get used to that. I mean, the 60 hertz is not a deal breaker at that price. I don't really like to talk about Apple too much on this channel because I don't like to incite the whole like Apple versus Android army. But you kind of like can't help it sometimes. Like when you look at, for example, the iPhone SE. Yes, it's a 60 hertz display, but it's still very smooth. It's very dated, but it's cheap. And so for somebody who just wants an iPhone, like it looks vastly different and it operates vastly different than like the regular and the Pro models. And I just wish there was a little bit more differentiation there, because you can get the 6A, which is staying in the lineup, by the way. It's staying on the store, and you can get it for $350. I think that's the 7A. If you were going to go up on price, it should have been $399. I want to see Android for tablets get better app support. That is where it has lacked compared to the. Oh, absolutely. They in Google's keynote today, they talked a little bit like about how they were optimizing their apps for tablets, and they said they claim. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt because it's Google, right? I'm still waiting on being able to unlock stuff with my Pixel Watch, even though they announced that like 2 years ago. They claim they're working with app developers to optimize it for tablets and larger screens with Android 12L when it came out. So I think we're going to see some improvement, but it really only improves if demand improves. And so if people buy the Pixel Fold, people buy the Pixel tablet, the OnePlus tablet just came out. I picked that up. It actually should be here tomorrow, so I'm going to review that as well. But if people actually start investing in and buying these products, then it'll give developers a reason to actually invest in making their apps optimized for tablets. It's one of those things where it's like it's a never-ending cycle with Android tablets, and because everyone just buys an iPad, developers don't invest in Android tablets, and it doesn't matter how good the Android tablet is. It's just people still prefer to have an iPad. But I if you're like me, I'm one of like the small set of people. I like having matching ecosystems. So like when I see the Pixel tablet, like, yeah, I'm interested. Show me what that's about and how it works with my Pixel phone. I saw the OnePlus pad. I'm not a huge OnePlus person anymore. But I heard good things about the OnePlus 11. I'm hearing good things about the OnePlus pad. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see if I like it. I mean, on Android, we deserve to have like a good user experience and have something that works seamlessly with our other devices. I really don't want to buy an iPad. Maybe call me crazy. I don't want to buy an iPad. So I would like to have a tablet, and hopefully one of these tablets is going to do the job for me. So we'll see. But yeah. All right, so moving on. Let's talk about the Pixel tablet. So interesting things about the Pixel tablet. I think tablets I like the fact that they addressed as a whole that tablets are kind of in this weird place in general, because you either use them for like creators either use them for like drawing, or more recently I saw Final Cut Pro is coming to the iPad. LumaFusion is available for Chrome OS now, I believe, and I believe you'll be able to use it on Android tablets. So unless you're like a creative, most people just aren't buying tablets like that now. They're either buying laptops and phones, or a foldable, which we'll talk about the fold later. But first thing I have to say that I will give credit to Google for, I think that price is pretty good. It's pretty good because there was all this speculation, right? Remember, like, people were speculating that the tablet by itself was going to be like $500, $600, and then you'd have to spend another $130 for the dock. The fact that this is a $500 tablet, and it's spec wise, it's a pretty decent tablet. Plus, it comes with the dock, in the box. Plus the functionality that you get, it's pretty much like buying a better version of a Nest Hub Max, but giving it tablet functionality. So they specifically designed this to be used at the house and not necessarily to take with you. With that being the case, I want to see Google develop their own laptop. It can be Chrome OS based. I would love to see Pixelbook come back. They still sell the Pixelbook Go, but I want to see a refreshed, updated Pixelbook with a newer design language to kind of be something to use on the go. But till then, we got the Pixel tablet. So I'm just gonna go through the notable specs. I don't have to walk through everything, but did anybody catch the? Let's see here. I think it's on display. Supports USI 2.0 stylus pens. So that's why we didn't see like a Pixel pen or anything like that. Probably missed opportunity for Google if they wanted to sell more merchandise. But you can use any USI stylus that supports 2.0 on this screen. So that's actually pretty cool. I was waiting to hear about that. I hadn't heard anything definite. But it's a pretty nice looking screen. It's an LCD screen, so it's not OLED, but that's fine. We'll have to see how it looks. They're claiming, let's see, where did I see it at? I think it's an overview. They're claiming that it's supposed to be like a very nice looking screen. I saw it somewhere on here. I have to find it, but that's Google's word. Once I get it, I'll actually kind of reserve judgment until then. Battery and charging, 12 hours of video streaming, built-in 27 watt-hour battery. So, I mean, that's like your basic standard tablet. 12 hours is pretty good to get out of it, but it also depends on what you're doing. I'm curious if I can leave this on the dock, and if I'm doing something a little bit more graphic intensive or something a little bit more demanding, because I think somewhere they mentioned like video editing or photo editing. Will it still hold up? Because it's rocking. Let's see here. It's rocking Tensor G2 also, I believe. Let's see. Let's go to processor. Yeah. So Tensor G2 across the board. But I think this might actually be a little bit more efficient because there's only a Wi-Fi modem, so there's no LTE or cellular. Remember, it's designed to be at home, but also the footprint is larger, so cooling may not be as big of an issue. You probably won't get nearly as much heat spikes, or overheating may not be an issue because of that. I like the design. I think, like I said, I think I'm holding out judgment until I actually use it. Just because it's I don't know what tablets are really supposed to be used for now. Like I have a couple of ideas, but I don't know. And I think that's why it was a smart play for Google. If you were going to put out a tablet, then you might as well make it useful when you're not using it as a tablet. And that's why that Nest Hub functionality is actually pretty good. Let's see. What else did they talk about with the Pixel tablet? Did I miss anything on that? Four speakers on there, so it's supposed to sound really good. Let's see what else. Yeah, not too much, and yeah, there wasn't too much on it. Like, and that's what I was kind of hoping that Google would do was convince me that, or convince the average person that they need to pick this up, which the Nest Hub functionality kind of does, but only if you're really in the Android ecosystem. Because like if you have an iPad, you're not buying this to replace your iPad. You're probably buying this. If you buy this, you're probably buying this to put in your home. So it's smart on Google's point, like their part, but I gotta say I'm kind of let down right now. I guess I was hoping for something a little bit more exciting, but we'll see when it gets here. Um, these shipping dates, I think they're supposed to ship the end of next month, which I don't understand that. It's fine if you announce a product, but like to announce a product and have pre-order dates and then people have to wait like a whole, like over a month to actually get the product in hand. That's a long time. That's a long time. Like you look at other companies, like when they pre-announce a product, it's like pre-order today, shipping next week. So I don't know what's going on with Google over there, but that's one thing I would like to see them improve is like get that time between like when you pre-order it and get it shipped out, get it way down, because that's far too long. Let's see here. I'm with you, Anthony. I buy nothing Apple. Yeah, man, I get it. I, I talked about this last week. There's nothing against Apple. I mean, they do make good products. Like their hardware is really good, but their software is not it. Their OS is just, and if you're used to it, like it's mainly designed for people that aren't used to using a file system. But if you're like old school and you're used to using one, like it sucks. iOS, Mac OS, like all, like I have a MacBook that I use for editing, and it's extremely, it's, I don't want to say it's a nightmare, but it's a lot harder than it should be, because of file management, because of the way that Mac OS and iOS handle file management. So that's my biggest gripe with it. But outside of that, I mean, hey, to each his own. Yeah, I won't be buying any more Apple products though, but to each his own. Wanted the Pixel tablet, but my Pixelbook Go is still running strong. Yeah, I was curious about that. So I briefly talked about that. I'm actually considering still picking one up. Especially if you got like a better one with a better processor in it. I think it's gonna run fine. But I want like a dedicated good laptop from Google. Right now I'm using a Chrome tablet, like the Lenovo Duet 5, which is pretty good. I mean, it's even better if you have a more powerful chip inside of it, because obviously it's going to be smoother. But yeah, they're still selling the Pixelbook Go. I think on the website, and you can find it other places for cheaper. So I think it's still worth it. I was disappointed that the Pixel tablet didn't have a higher refresh rate, considering the OnePlus Pad has 144 hertz for a cheaper price. Yeah, you know what? You just made me think. I didn't even think to look at that. Does anybody know what the refresh rate was on that display? Let's see. It does not say. 500 nits of brightness, so definitely not meant to be used outside in direct sunlight. But yeah, it doesn't say what the refresh rate is. I'm assuming, and obviously we'll have to wait and see. I'm assuming it's 120 hertz. For something that size, why not? You can't put that tablet out with 60 hertz with a 60 hertz display. It's got to at least be 120. I'm hearing that on the OnePlus Pad, it's very, very smooth. That 144 hertz is very, very crisp and smooth. Yeah, I would have loved to see that too, but come on, you know, Google's never been like the peak of, like they never put like peak technology in their stuff. They're usually a couple years behind the curve. So probably if they release a Pixel Tablet 2 in a few years, maybe then it'll get 144 hertz. Um, but I mean, the only thing saving grace for the Pixel tablet is it's priced similarly to the OnePlus Pad, but you get the dock and all the extra functionality. So I like the idea of sharing the tablet with my family. My wife and son can have their own logins. We would most likely have our own though, but just having an option is a plus. Yeah, yeah, so there's a fingerprint reader, and each person can register their own fingerprint to it, and have their own user accounts. So that is cool, especially if it's tied to your Google account, and all of that pulls over. So all your contacts, all of your stored information from your Google account. I think there's if Google doesn't do this, is a missed opportunity. And not to get like too far off topic, but I really would like to see them add Google Messages and make it so that you could use Google Messages without having to have a phone number. So you ideally, like, let's say you had it linked to your Google account. It would be nice if you could then log in on your tablet, and then you could still get all of your messages, which I know they have the Messages app, and you can do it like on the web through like some weird third-party way. But built in natively, that would be cool. And then, as far as sharing it, I'm not sharing mine. my wife and kids, they tear up technology pretty bad, so I might get them their own. But yeah, that functionality that's there, that's a nice little add. 60 hertz on the Pixel tablet, I heard from either The Verge or Engadget. Oh, why? Why? If that's true, it's such a missed opportunity. If it's 60 hertz, that better be the smoothest 60 hertz display I've ever seen. Okay. Come on, it's 2023. 60 hertz, there should be nothing with 60 hertz around. Like, that technology is cheap now. It's way cheaper than when it first came out like 5-6 years ago. So it should be a lot cheaper. 60 hertz. Come on, Google, get it together. All right. Let's move on to the Fold. I was mildly excited about the Fold. I haven't used a foldable yet, just because I'm like, if Samsung's the only one that offers one in the US, and I'm not a fan of One UI, it's not bad. It's just not for me. So when I saw the Pixel Fold like today, that actually was the highlight for me. I think there's a couple notable things about the Pixel Fold. I like that they went with a matte finish. Let's see. It's weird because like with their little mock-ups, you can't tell, but I'm so glad that they went with frosted matte finish on the Pixel Fold. I like the size, so I think it's 5.8 on the front display, 7.6 when it's open, and I like that it closes flat. So the Z Fold has like almost like a teardrop hinge. This folds flat, and I think Google was saying today that was the reason for. I think Google was saying today that was the reason for the larger bezels. Was not only so that they could get that special kind of hinge to keep out dust. There's water resistance and keep out other particles and stuff. But they also said that the front camera also contributed to it having larger bezels on the inside. So I think that's something that sometimes we don't think about, because of the fact that we're like, hey, if X, Y, and Z company made a foldable, like you look at like the Oppo, what is it? Oppo Find N or something like that. Somebody let me know in the comments what it is. Like, I like that form factor, but I mean it's built differently, and one of the things that Google tries to pride itself on is its cameras. So I can probably tell you I'm 99% sure that the cameras in the Pixel Fold are probably going to be better than the ones from Oppo, and from what I heard they're supposed to be better than what's on the Z Fold 4. Not sure about the Z Fold 5, but that hasn't been announced yet. So they're supposed to be really good. Not quite Pixel 7 Pro levels, but like just slightly underneath that. So let's go over to the tech specs here, because what Google said today is they re-engineered or they chose different cameras because it's so thin, so you don't get a lot of room to add larger sensors. And I think it's the primary lens. Let's go to camera. Yeah, it's the primary lens on the rear that's actually a smaller sensor than on the Pixel 7 Pro. So this is a 0.8 micron. I think on the 7 Pro it's like a 1.2 micron sensor. So some people are concerned that the photos aren't going to be as good, but I don't doubt Google anymore when it comes to like photography. You're probably not going to be using this to shoot video just because of the form factor. So I'm not super worried about that. I think images are going to be fine. I do think it's interesting here. So you got a 1080p screen on the front, 408 ppi, so pretty pixel dense. And it gets up to 1200 nits of brightness for HDR content and up to 1550 peak brightness. That's brighter. I believe that's like 100 nits or 50 nits brighter than what's on the Pixel 7 Pro. So no problems. You shouldn't have any problems like viewing it in direct sunlight. Gorilla Glass Victus on the cover glass, so hopefully scratches won't be an issue. And it's supposed to be pretty sturdy. And then the internal display is, I believe, overall it's a 1440p display, 380 ppi, up to 1000 nits of HDR, and up to 1450 peak brightness. So just as bright, about just as bright as the Pixel 7 Pro on the inside display. So both of them will get pretty bright and you won't have any problems really viewing them in direct sunlight. That's what I was worried about for a minute. Like, I was worried that the internal display was going to be like so-so. But from what I'm seeing, it should be okay. The only thing that I'm worried about, and I'm hoping that Google has, like, through their like trying to refine it, has kind of addressed this. Where did it go? It's battery life, right? So 4821 milliamp hour battery, smaller than what's in the Pixel 7 Pro. But then again, remember, this is two batteries that are thinner, and the Pixel Fold is supposed to be extremely thin too. So I think because the form factor is smaller, the fact that it has 4821 milliamp hours in it probably is pretty impressive. That is larger than what comes in the Z Fold 4. I think the Z Fold 4 is like a 4400 milliamp hour battery. And Google is saying that you're going to get over 24 hours. But let's go down here. Point number 5, right? It says the average user, so medium pixel user, talk data, standby, use of other features, average battery life was approximately 33 hours. So let's be honest, it's a one-day phone. It's a one-day phone. I don't have a problem with that. I put my phone on the charger every single day, but it's a one-day phone, Google. Like, don't try to make it out to seem like more than what it actually is. And they're like, yeah, you can enable extreme battery saving mode, but it drops your screen rate down, your screen refresh rate down to 60 hertz. It shuts off a bunch of apps. Like, unless you're going hiking or traveling and you don't really intend to use your phone that much and you just want to get the most out of it, that's the only time you're going to use it. Other than that, I mean, with what's out now, most people, they want like a day and a half, 2 days battery life. So I don't know if the battery life is going to be worse than the Pixel 7 Pro or Pixel 7, or about the same. I don't know. I'm kind of reserving judgment on that because it's too early to tell. But I'm excited for it. Price wise, yeah, I think it is overpriced. I think that it should have been like $14.99. But they are giving some pretty sweet incentives. I mean, you get a free Pixel Watch if you pre-order it. Um, so if you haven't gotten one, then you get to pick one up for free. If you have one, I don't know, like get it and resell it. That's what I would suggest. But they're really trying to incentivize people to buy this. You can tell, and I think there's a couple things about the Pixel Fold that we got to remember. This has been rumored for quite some time. In all honesty, remember last week I was talking about COVID kind of messed up, like I think the release schedule for all of these products. So I think the Pixel Fold, the original one, was supposed to come out a lot sooner. And it had it come out then with these specs at that price. Remember, the Z Fold still goes for $17.99, like brand new. Then I would think it would be fine. But being that the hardware is not good, I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you value. I mean, the hardware looks like it's going to be solid because it's built by Samsung. And Google does the software. At this point, you've been dealing with Tensor 2 for quite some time, so I don't think there should be any huge software bugs. I mean, you've had 7-8 months to get it together, so there's that. But also, with it being their first foldable, I think it's a little bit high. I think that price is a little bit high. But I think diehard Pixel fans are going to buy this. I'm getting one. But I don't know if they're going to be able to convince like the masses to buy this. But we'll see. We'll see. Some interesting uses that are going to be coming out of that phone. So should have been cheaper. We need foldable prices to decrease. Yeah, absolutely. But the only way they're going to decrease is if people start buying them. It's doing what it needs to do. Like right now, it needed to introduce competition to the American market. So right now, the only company that sells foldables that like actually sells them in the US is Samsung. If you want another foldable, like you have to import it. It's not directly sold. And then, so most people won't know about it, right? Outside of tech YouTube. And also your carrier may or may not support all the features, right? And then obviously customer service, there's all kinds of issues. Like there's not issues, but there's all kinds of barriers of entry or barriers to entry for that. So there needs to be more competition in the market for prices to start to go down. So Google comes out with the Pixel Fold now, it's at $17.99. Maybe not with the Z Fold 5, but maybe the Z Fold 6. Samsung starts to lower the price because it shouldn't be as expensive to produce, right? You start producing more parts in bulk because of supply and demand, but also competition. You want to price yourself competitively so that, you know, people will obviously pick your product over the other. So it needs to exist. I mean, nobody else is making them in the US. And technically, even though this is Google branded, Samsung's still making a lot of the technology that's coming out of this phone. So I don't see those prices going down anytime soon, but I'm very interested in the form factor. So looking at it from that aspect, I think it's worth it. But if you just look at the tech specs, then no, I mean, obviously it's not. In America, as long as it's only 2 manufacturers making foldable phone or folding phones, it will always be $1,500 to $2,000. Yeah, I think I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this, and part of it is kind of how you frame it. So $1,500, $1,600, you're essentially getting a phone and a tablet. So if you bought, you know, a high-end phone and tablet separately, it's going to run you about $1,500. I think that's probably closer to how they get their pricing for these. And then they throw on what they need to make in their profit margin. I don't know how they calculate the price of it, but Google's been notorious for years for overpricing products, even though they're not competing like spec wise with some of the larger players in the game. But we'll have to wait and see. Folding phones are niche devices right now, so it won't be too many with them. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's part of what makes it cool. Is the fact that not everybody has one. Um, and I don't think people really know how expensive these foldables are. Like if you're passing by. But if you just see it, I mean, it's a folding phone. That's cool, right? Um, whether it stays a niche product or not, I don't know. I don't know. But okay, but I will say this specifically about the Pixel Fold in comparison to and why it's so good that it exists in comparison to the Z Fold. So a couple people I know, they have Z Folds. They love them. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard about them, it has nothing to do with the hardware, has nothing to do with the software, has everything to do with the form factor. So the skinny aspect ratio of the thing when it's folded up and how bulky it is. So it's interesting that Google went in and marketed this as the thinnest foldable phone. And from what I saw, because it folds flat and it's so thin, it doesn't feel bulky, and it's easier to wield with one hand, especially when closed. So I think that's Google's advantage, and I think that's cool about the niche. I mean, there's just a lot that can be done there, and it pushes innovation forward. I mean, let's be honest, we haven't been getting a lot of innovation when it comes to smartphones over the past few years. It seems like they're only innovating cameras on phones, and foldables kind of disrupt that a little bit and encourage innovation, in a different way. And I think that's good. So yeah, it's expensive, but I mean, so was the VCR when it came out, DVD player, right? Does anyone remember Laserdisc and how expensive like Laserdisc and DVD players or DVDs when they first came out, Blu-rays when they first came out? So I think the price will go down with time, but yeah, not everybody's going to own this right out of the bat. What is up, Anthony? Thank you for joining in this evening. You guys are so great. I appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me. I'm very new to streaming. I'm trying to mix things up with the channel a little bit, give a little something for everybody, and try to cover as much that I can cover without having to necessarily sit down and do like an actual video. It's pretty time intensive, and I do still work a full-time job. I got a family, all of that, other obligations. So the fact that you guys come and hang out with me even for an hour when I live stream, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. It's up to guys like us to spend the money and show off what others could be using. We can help drive the adoption. Absolutely, 100%. I'm serious. Like, so I really think that Google should actually adopt the model that Tesla had. When I got my Model 3, remember they had the Tesla referral program, and however you feel about Elon Musk or Tesla as a company, their marketing strategy was actually pretty genius, and I think it's something that Google should do. I think they really need to expand Team Pixel, and I think they need to incentivize Team Pixel to help them like encourage people to buy. It should be like, if you have a referral code, like I get a percentage off of the phone, and so do you, or you get some kind of kickback if you're part of Team Pixel. I think they're kind of working on something like that, or using brand ambassadors and things of that nature. But really, if you've been like OG Team Pixel, it's up to us, like, because people are just now starting to discover Pixel phones and just now starting to buy them, and they've been around for quite some time now. So yeah, man, we gotta lead the pack. Candy bar style phones may have peaked. Yeah, I agree. I think they have. The fact that we just keep putting like bigger cameras on the back of these phones. I mean, I I've seen phones like they've changed so much over the years. Like one of my favorite phones, like back in the day, I had the original Sidekick, and then the Sidekick 3. Before, I think it was the LG Chocolate that was like the first like candy bar style phone. So I mean, and that was, see, that's got to be maybe almost 20 years ago. So I think candy bar phones probably have peaked, and we need to move to something else to start innovating again. And so I'm hoping that, you know, Pixel Fold and foldables in general are poised to do that. So we have that program. Yeah, so I'm also in Pixel Super Fans. I think that program could be better. You do get, like, if you're part of Pixel Super Fans, like, you get some exclusive content. Sometimes they'll send you free gifts to try to, like, encourage you to really put forward, like, their products, like, to share their products and things of that nature. But they've been slow adopting people into Pixel Super Fans, and I don't know, like, the value of it just isn't there for me right now. Team Pixel to me seems a little bit more valuable because, like, people who are passionate about Pixel phones, give them Pixel phones and, like, let them market it for you. It's cheap, you know. Marketing is expensive. Even if you gave someone a Pixel Fold, $1,700 is a lot cheaper than, like, what they spend in marketing. So I think it's more valuable to put the products in the hands of people and have them share it. Pixel Super Fans does that to some extent, but not as much as Team Pixel. So I think there's a gap there that they need to fill, and hopefully they'll do that in the future. But we'll see. But guys, it's been about an hour. I think that's gonna be it for me tonight. There's a lot here, but because the products aren't being they aren't actually coming in hand until the end of next month. I mean, there's only so much we can talk about, and we're still speculating. And I'm just like, man, like, come on, Google, like, get these products out. Like, the following week you should be shipping products. So as far as things to look forward on the channel, like I mentioned, OnePlus Pad is coming in. I'm probably going to hang on to that for a little bit, because when my Pixel tablet does come in, I think I'm only going to keep one. So I'm either going to keep the Pixel tablet, or I'm going to keep the OnePlus Pad, and I want to be able to compare it. So there will be a review for that going up on the channel. I believe my Pixel 7a is supposed to come in Friday, so that's going to come up on the channel within the next week or so. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, if you're watching the replay of this, feel free to comment, interact. If this is your first time joining me, please subscribe. I am on the route, like, I'm on the road. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. That would be like a huge tent pole for me. And I want to bring you guys the best content that I can. And I want to bring more Pixel focused awareness for Pixel phones. Like, come on, you got all these channels that cover Apple products, and you got everybody gushing over Samsung. Like, I want to cover primarily Pixel products, because there's a lot that they have to offer. So yeah, Bad News Gary Brown, he said it best. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. You guys got it. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Take care. Look out. I will let you guys know the next time I'm going to be streaming. My goal is to stream at least twice a month, unless something really big happens. But keep an eye on the channel. I'll keep you guys posted about that. And until the next time, everybody take care. See you later. Enjoy your night.